Good day and welcome to another episode of the Bindu Business Podcast. With me today here, I've got someone who's multi-talented. I would say someone who's done a lot of things, but she'll tell us a lot about that. Good day, Confidence. How are you?
Hi, Leon. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
I'm very good. First and foremost, thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to be with you in this moment.
Good. So, Confidence Rakoma, right? Hope I got it.
100. Yes.
Yes. Who are you? Where do you come from? And what do you do?
Okay. Who am I? I'm the founder and director of the Smart Rebels Group. I'm from Winterveld, otherwise known as Iskandar, That is, for those who don't know, that is just on the outskirts of like Pretoria, so like just after Mabopane and Soshanguve.
Okay, I know that place. I was at TUT there. I was at TUTFM back in the days. Used to get a lot of callers calling from Scandaf. Yes.
Okay.
So, were you born in Scandaf, Winterveld?
100%. So I was born at the Rangua Hospital. Okay. And throughout my upbringing, I moved in various places around Pretoria. So your Mamelodi, I've been there. Your Denville, Pretoria West, I've been there. Honorstuport, Soshanguve.
Okay.
So
I see.
You understand.
Okay, you've been to a lot of places. So you studied mining engineering, right?
100%. So my journey with that started in 2013. So I completed my degree in mining engineering in 2017.
Okay. And what actually made you make the transition from being a mining engineering graduate to an entrepreneur? Why did you make that change? Why make the switch?
So, Leon, I believe that entrepreneurship is a calling. Mm-hmm. It goes over and above being like it being a title. It's not a profession per se, because it's of that scale. And so I think it's something that you're called to do,
Okay.
So yeah.
So what about, let's say I'm doing a 9 to 5, but I want to start my own business, and whether I'm self-employed or also employ other people, then what do I do if it's a calling? How do I get into that calling?
So you first and foremost give into the calling. So I think I want the viewers to understand that it's a process. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to say you're doing a 9 to 5, you can still give into your calling, right? But your starting point is the same. So whether you started entrepreneurship or giving to the calling at a younger age or at a much older age, the process is still the same. You're still going to go through the same process. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, the sooner the better. So the sooner you get into it, the better. Mm-hmm. But I see the narrative has changed a lot in the sense of you now have entrepreneurs who go into it having accumulated knowledge in terms of the science behind it and how it works, right? So there's that type of entrepreneur. And then there's the type of entrepreneur who starts off by selling something small and they then just grow into it, But yeah, that's how I view entrepreneurship and yeah. So in terms of the 9 to 5 person, I would say that you can start, but the most important thing is to have a plan in place, right? Yes. So you need the plan as a map to say that this is how I'm going to start, and after a certain time, this is where I see the business, and after a certain time, this is where I see the business. So it's like your short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, right? And so that's the most important thing. So 9 to 5, you can start your business, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Yes, definitely. Look, I think as a 9 to 5 person, you actually have this mentality. Well, you actually feel safe. You know that at the end of the month your money is coming in, whether but you have that safety. So what made you just decide to not go for that in the beginning? Because I see you've done a bit of 9 to 5 work. You're an intern, a mining engineering intern. You've done a
Okay.
bit of that, but then what made you switch and say, you know what, I'm going to leave this 9 to 5 thing and I'm going to do what I'm entrepreneurship?
Sure.
What made you make that
Okay.
switch?
I think to best answer that question, I'm going to take you I'm going to take you back just a bit. So I started my first employment was when I was 12. So I was working at the school tuck shop. So during the lunch, that's when I was selling. So that's when I became an employee for the first time.
Child labor,
Right?
yes. Child labor, but go on.
Actually, to explain that better, a friend and I actually approached the lady to say that there's a long line. You're not taking all your orders. Some kids are going back to class without having bought.
Yes.
Hire us.
Okay.
You see. So yeah, that's what happened. And then grade 10 again, there was an opportunity to sell at the school tuck shop, and I took it. I grabbed it.
Okay.
So that's where my employment journey started. And I think at that age you start understanding the concept of employment and what it means. You also start understanding the view of the customer versus the service offerer, basically.
Yes.
Right? So all these things start coming into place, and you might not be like aware, but all of that is happening. Right? All of
yes.
that is happening. And so so it was that. And then when I got into university, first year I was not funded. Right. So I didn't have funding. So let's just say I was ignorant and arrogant, maybe, because I thought after matric, companies would be coming to me and here's a bursary. But none of that. I think that was a wake up call, because then I got to realize and understand the world a bit better. And so no funding. So I go to WITS, and the only thing I have is like the registration fee. And after that, it's like, accommodation. Then you start looking for accommodation. 2,000 rand. What? What is that?
This was a long time ago. No, I'm just thinking about 2,000 because I know how much it is at the moment.
100%. Yes. And so, we weren't even looking for the best ones. But yeah. So, and then from there, I know that I got a room in Soweto. And still, like, your first time in Joburg, you need to hustle. Like, hey, I moved in the Sunday. Monday, I need to be at school. I don't even know how to get there. So the journey was continuing. And I think from there onwards, I understood that I need money. And so I was like, let me start cleaning people's flats.
Oh, nice.
So I started, I put up a poster, and an engineering graduate. Your classes start at 8 and they end at 4 mostly. I don't know what I was thinking. Saturdays are for catching up and preparing for tests and exams and assignments. That happened. And then people started calling.
Okay.
WhatsApps are coming in. And that's when I realized what I'd done.
Were you getting a lot of clients though?
Yes, but I couldn't even service them because of the school schedule.
Yes.
First year is a challenge by itself. I didn't even think about the safety issues. I didn't think about the equipment. I didn't think about the service offerings, my price list.
Yes.
So it was like, okay, so it is possible. It is possible, but let's just wait a bit, So that happened, and I just started rejecting people. I was like, okay, let me first pass, because when I go home, they want results, So I was like, okay, cool. So and then from there onwards, I finished my first year, and before the end of the year, I'd gotten into a position with Engineers Without Borders. I was the media officer. So that just speaks to like me just always seeing opportunities, basically.
But what gave you the idea to clean people's flats?
I just saw a gap and I took it, like in the sense of I understood that money is important. right? And I understood that I was in a position where I needed to sustain myself.
Yes.
And I'm just talking basic things like clothes and food as a
Yes.
student, So it was that, yeah.
So did you ever get time to actually go and clean those apartments to make money, or you just put the advert and people called and you turned all of them down?
100%. So that happened because, like I said, for me, I understood that, okay, I can't mess up because of where I come from and how important it is for me to ensure that I pursue education and I see it like I complete it basically,
Yes.
right? So that happened. So I switched off my entrepreneurial mind just a bit, right? And then from there onwards, the second year, that's when I got introduced to tutoring, like professionally as well. So that happened for the duration of my schooling years. So employment again.
Yes.
But even
you were
around
formally employed by the institution?
by a company.
Oh, okay.
Yes, by a tutoring company. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to actually thank the business owner at that time. He's still running the company. But yeah, this is a moment to thank him for giving me a shot, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. And then, so that happened and I just was volunteering most of the time throughout my varsity years. So it was the tutoring aspect. It was volunteering in the sense of working with different societies on campus. Yeah, it was that until I've graduated.
Okay, just to put it out there, used to tutor, is it maths and science?
100%. So it was mathematics and physical sciences. Yeah,
Okay,
those are the main ones.
Those are actually difficult subjects. So I'm kind of guessing that you are smart, if I can put the word there, smart, academically smart. So for someone who's academically smart, I just want to understand, because I still don't understand why someone who is getting A's, I'm assuming you are getting A's, someone who's getting A's would actually decide to, go the entrepreneurial route and not go corporate.
Okay. Before I address that, I think it's very important to discuss how, in terms of succeeding at anything, it's not just your mental capacity that's required. There are other ingredients which can also get you there. And I'm talking about things like working hard. I'm talking about things like perseverance. I'm talking about, just your overall willingness to learn and your attitude. That too can get you there, So I think there's that. And then to answer the second part of the question, I think it was around what made me go into entrepreneurship with all of that.
Yes.
Leon.
Yes.
It's a calling, this thing.
Okay, I see. That's the answer. And I totally understand what you mean. But I want you to tell me, because it's kind of different for everyone, There are some people who go and they do a 9 to 5, but they're like, my heart isn't here, Like some of the people I've interviewed on the show, as like Lindo, for example, I interviewed him. Yes, so he once worked a 9 to 5 somewhere after his business didn't go well.
Okay.
But then he always had this thing calling him, these voices. He would hear these voices saying, go do this and this and this,
Yes.
And you don't feel satisfied. You don't feel fulfilled until you do that which your heart wants, actually, if I can put it in that way. So how was it for you? How was that experience for you?
Okay. So after I graduated, I think that's when now there was just exposure to a different side of life altogether. You're now moving into a different structure altogether, different system. And when I did, because now varsity was fun because there was still that freedom to do other things. But now once I started working, it was something else. And it was something else because, it just was rigid for me. It was rigid and, so I just knew that I'm taking this thing and I now want to box it up. So that's how it felt to me. And it's just that it's only now that I'm able to articulate it. But then I couldn't. It was a feeling, and I couldn't explain it to anyone. And I'm very happy because the individuals that were involved in the process of me, like leaving the mining industry, I'm so happy and blessed because they understood, and there were no objections. So instead they actually encouraged me, and I think that was one of the things that was an indication to say that you're on the right track. So it was the part where I wasn't comfortable with the idea that my energy levels would like peak at a certain time, but that's when I have to leave work, and I'm like, but I still want to work.
Yes.
I still want to work. So I wasn't comfortable with that, so it's the discomfort in terms of that. The fact that I will think of something and I want to do it, but I can't do it because I'm what's the word?
In a box.
Let's use nicer words.
Okay.
But yes, you're in that system, and it works very well for a lot of people. But I think that's why I say it's a calling. I think I promised myself that I wouldn't talk about God too much, but it's just one of those things.
If it works for you, I mean, this part, a lot of people are driven by different stuff. So if it's religion for you, it's fine,
100%.
You can go there.
I felt as though, irregardless of what I would do, God would find a way to align me. And I think as someone who is prayerful, you need to be careful what you're praying for.
Okay, yes.
Because you'll be praying for alignment. Yes. You'll be praying for God to align his plans, to align your plans to his. You'll be praying for his will to be done. And sometimes you'll say those things and not understand what it means. Because then someone else would take it as an inconvenience to say that I've worked so many years in terms of acquiring this degree. I'm now in a job. You're inconveniencing me. This is when I should be driving my... this is when I should be... this is when I should be making things better at home. This is when, you just have all these questions, right? But I think when you get to understand how God works, you get to understand that you need to obey. Okay. You need to obey, and his time is not our time, and so you'll try to fight it, of which I have done. And I think earlier on you're asking me about the name of my company. We'll get to that. You have to obey.
Yes.
God speaks. And he speaks, and it's like he whispers when we are at our triumph, and he shouts when we're at our lowest, but in order to hear him, you need to create the right space where he can be heard.
Amen. Amen. Okay.
So I don't know if that answers your question in terms of the transition between and how that happened. That's how it happened for me. Okay. At that time, I did not know what was going on.
Yes. And how did your family take it? I don't know if your parents are both, but how did they kind of take it when you told them that I'm going to go, I've got this degree that I've worked hard for? I'm sure they were there at the graduation and they were happy, excited. You got your internship and they were still excited. But how did they take it when you said, I want to leave this and do this?
I think that they were confused. And because remember, I was born in 1994, right? And that's a generation of hope. We grew up in a time when we had access to things that our parents dreamed and longed for. you know. So to see all of that, like, oh, okay, ubuya Scandaf, ungene isikole edrobheni, wazwangene vets, thola umsebenzi emine, you know. So you can understand what the expectations, you know. And now it's like, you want to do what? You want to expose yourself to risk?
Yes.
You want to go broke?
Yes.
You want to, what do you want to do? You know, and I think it's the confusion because of the path that I was previously on. But I think deep down inside they knew. I think they knew. And I say that because my father was a street vendor at the Bloot Mall, way before the mall, the existence of the mall, you know. So, and he basically just transitioned with all those changes in the city of Tshwane. And yeah, so Papa Kanariksa go renkengi. My mother was also somewhat in the business space, you know, and all of the, like I said, all these things were happening in the background. All these things were happening in the background. And so I don't think it was questionable in terms of the direction that I was now about to embark, like the journey I was about to embark on. I think it was just the fact that how this one, you know, she was on the right track, you know, this one is in Tongaye, you know, and then now it's like, okay. But I don't think it was questionable to say that would I have done well, or, you know, like it's just something that was bound to happen.
Okay. I actually learned, well, it's a new word. It's called an entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur, actually. So it's a person inside a company. So you are like formally employed, but what you do in the company, you are someone who comes up with solutions. You know, because I believe entrepreneurship is all about identifying an issue and coming up with a solution, and that's how it works. Okay. So would you have considered that? Still working 9 to 5, but you know what? You would have been in a space where you're actually able to come up with new ideas in the mining sector. I don't know what innovation you can come up with. One of the innovations that's there now is they're using these hydrogen-fueled vehicles for the environment. So I don't know, like, would you have taken that step to be someone who comes up with solutions in the company and not do your own thing independently? Would you still have taken that path?
I think that, Leon, when you talk about entrepreneurship, it's not about you, right? It's not about you. When you're called to entrepreneurship and you succeed at it, the success is not for you. You know, maybe if I wasn't as connected to God, probably maybe I would have I would have expressed it like that. But I've grown to understand that this is something much bigger, and the vision is it's big. You know, it's big, and I don't. Yeah. So in terms of where I am now, I would say that this is just the beginning. I think South Africa has a problem of unemployment.
Definitely.
And I think that there's a need for entrepreneurs to rise up to the occasion. And so I wouldn't, considering the journey, I would have probably, if I'd stayed in the mining industry, I would have found a way to express this thing in whatever environment I'm in. But I think for me, when I talk about my entrepreneurial journey, it's more of a self-discovery, personal development journey. And at that point in time, I didn't know myself. And so I actually did understand that there was a need for me to take a break as a person, because I'd been so busy. I'd been so busy and just never had time to I didn't even know myself when at the time I left the mining industry, Leon. If you had asked me then who confidence is, ooh,
You wouldn't say it with confidence.
I wouldn't say it with confidence. I didn't even know myself. I wasn't even comfortable with being with myself.
But with that doesn't that give you self-doubt when you actually want to go into business? I mean, not having all your ducks in a row, doesn't that kind of...
Okay. In terms of business, I've always been very confident. Let's just say I've learned that a person has different there's different aspects to one's life, right? And let's say in business you might be doing very well, and then let's say in your personal development you are not, you're lacking, right? So business-wise, I'm very confident, but at that point in time, I think I didn't know myself, like I said. So it's like any area where there's lack of growth, it will end up affecting every area of your life, right? So it's so important to grow in all areas of your life, right? Because you might progress like career-wise, but should this thing catch up with you where there's lack of growth, it will end up affecting this one.
Definitely.
Right?
Yes.
It will end up affecting this one. So... Leon, I've given into the process, and I've gotten to understand that at that point in time, I didn't even know what I was doing. And I'll be very honest. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that it's time to just give into this thing. And God is good because He doesn't call us, like He doesn't say, come because you've got it all figured out, do it. No, He wants you to trust Him, to trust that He's got it all figured out. Your job is to just obey, to just obey. And just to tie the spirituality with entrepreneurship, like I said, the success of the business is not for you, right? So in actual fact, when you're delaying this process, you're delaying other people,
yes.
So it's not about you. There's something about putting your needs one side and serving other people that is so beautiful, because God will take care of your needs. That's nothing in comparison to the needs of that need to be catered for. And so even with that, I've grown to understand that business is about serving people, right? It's about serving people. It's about, and there's a disconnect in terms of like all these professions and, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, engineer, cashier, cleaner. But at the end of the day, we're servicing each other. One cannot operate without the other.
Definitely.
So when you do think about business, it's all about serving the needs of each other. So it's actually like a more of a service to humanity, so yeah, I think just to make the concept of entrepreneurship simple, it's about serving other people. Right. And with the growth of the business, you're then able to employ other people, and so, yeah, that magic takes place. And another thing is, it's a process, Leon. It's a process. So in terms of my life journey, I moved from being an employee to being self-employed, to being a business owner, right? And now I can call myself an entrepreneur. I've earned the right.
Yes. Definitely.
I've earned the right to call myself an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And it's not easy. Employee, here are your roles and responsibilities. This is what you need to do. Self-employed. Oh my God! Now I have to do the invoicing myself.
Yes.
Ooh, what is that?
Yes.
Money coming in. Ooh, I need to allocate this money.
Yes.
Make sure that it's going where it needs to go.
Yes.
you don't really have to worry about staff and managing people when you're self-employed, and you're able to deliver a quality service because it's you and it comes from the heart, and it's like, I love doing this thing, you know. Business owner, okay, now it's getting interesting.
What's the difference actually between someone who's self-employed and a business owner?
When you're self-employed, it's just you. Literally, you've given yourself a job.
Okay.
Right, you've given yourself a job, and it's nice because you somewhat feel like a boss, but you're not the boss. Well, I mean, you are, but you're also the employee. So it's like, you know. So there's that, and then business owner. Now you're growing this thing. It's now you amplifying this thing, you know, and so you start building your team.
Also,
making
you've got
sure
employees now.
100%.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you've got employees, and it's like, if, let's say, for instance, I was if I was a carpenter, then I've got a group of people. I've got my supervisor. I might be the supervisor, but it's all things carpentry in most cases. It's like you're just in that space. Entrepreneur. Woo. Okay, entrepreneur. You can be you can own a salon, you can own a factory that makes detergents.
You can business owner.
Multiple business owner.
Okay.
Multiple business owner. Okay. Entrepreneur is I don't even have to know the technical side of things, but you've grown to a level where now you can set up businesses and you know the systems that are required. So you understand the different functions of any business, and you basically just planting these things. So you know, so it's there's a big difference. There's a big difference in terms, even in what is required of you, like in terms of all those different steps that I've mentioned. It's different, right? And and even the process, and I think for me, I always just, for someone who, for instance, is at home and wants to start. I know that's one of your questions, you know. For someone who wants to start, it's so important to have the grand vision in place, right? To have the grand vision in place. And what that does is it makes you appreciate the journey better. Right. It makes you, because you know and understand how whatever obstacles, whatever opposition, whatever challenges you face, you understand that they are bringing you closer to where you want to go. You then get to appreciate the lessons in those failures, and you get to appreciate it, and I think that's when you can start enjoying the process. Okay.
So you already answering my questions before I ask them, but just to touch back on something, I was on Facebook this week. So someone asks, okay, I've got this amount of money, what business can I start? And so I tell them, you know what, look in your community and identify a need there. Then your business can be there to solve that need, because what works in Soweto might not work in Katlehong or Winterfeld. You know, that's what I told them. That I can tell you, okay, you do student accommodation maybe, but where you are, there's no institution of learning. So basically identify the need in your community and then service that need. That's what entrepreneurship is about. It's about actually servicing the community or other people, like you mentioned it. Yes. Are we on the same page?
No, we're on the same page. I'm waiting for the question.
Oh, okay. No, I was just putting that out there.
Okay.
It's not a question. Okay, I'm getting to the question now. So what... we're actually going to go into your company. You started Smart Rebels in 2019 November.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I know. Yes. So, was there a need that you identified when you started the business, and why the name actually?
Okay. Just to touch on the person who wants to start,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that in as much as you'd like to look outward, right? There's also the inward part that needs to take place. So it has to be something that speaks to you, right? So that if it's something that speaks to you, then you're in a position where you can understand the pain of the customer better. Then you can understand the need better, because then it's something that that speaks volumes to you, right? Then it becomes easier to build a business around that and ensuring that you cover all of that. And then in terms of the X amount of money, business, if there's no plan in place,
Yes.
that money is just gonna flow out.
Definitely.
So it's a bit more than that, I would say. But look outward, yes, but also look inward, because there's so many germs inside.
And you
germs,
can't do something you're
valuable
not
things.
passionate about as well.
100%. 100%.
I once had, sorry to cut you out there. I once had someone suggest I do a business for tires or something like that. So it would be like a mobile tire shop. So people come, you change their tires, you do all that stuff, and the funds were there, but I'm not passionate about this, I don't want to do this, even though the money is there. But if you like this, you can do it, but I don't want to work with that.
100%. The passion and the drive is very important, because that is what is going to get you through the days when things are so bad and you're just like, why am I even doing this? That is what that is going to speak to you. Why am I doing this thing? Right? That will give you the courage to show up even when other people would like just say, what, I'm done with this thing. So that's true. That needs to be there. And then going back to Smart Rebels and why we started and the name.
I think I kind of get where the name comes from, but you can explain it.
Okay. Let's start with the name. So Smart Rebels. I think along my personal journey, I've always, like I said, I always knew that I need to give into this thing. And giving into it means that you might have to go into like a restoration phase in terms of your spirituality to a certain extent, so that you can change, so that the transformation can take place. And so even with my upbringing, I think I've always been rebellious, so I would give in and then give into the process and then do things my own way, things like that. And so I've learned that it's so important to do things the right way. Yes. And some would say there's no right or wrong way, but wrong is wrong, right is right, and we know the difference, right? It's so important to know where you stand. It's so important to know what you're all about. It's so important to know what it is that can be associated to you as a person. So your values and all of that needs to be in place. And so I was like, okay, cool. I know that I've always been a rebel, but let me choose to be a smart one. Right? Let me choose to be a smart one in the sense of using that energy in a more creative way and using it deliberately on things that matter. So that's how the name came about, Smart Rebels. And I think, I can't wait for South Africa to raise more Smart Rebels.
Yes, definitely. We need some of those. And what is it exactly that you do?
Okay, so Smart Rebels is a project management and labor supplier center. So we basically are
Can
now.
you just say that slowly again?
Oh, okay.
Some of us are not smart. But go on.
So, project management and labor supplier center.
Okay.
Right?
Project management and labor supply center.
100%.
Okay.
And we operate in the tutoring, cleaning, and renovations space. So what that means is that first and foremost, like we basically serve B2B, B2C, and B2B. So it's like business to consumer, business to business, basically. And you come to us with a problem, right? And you say, you know what? I've got, I'm a business owner. I've got a certain number of office space, this office space, it needs to be clean. I need for this and this to happen. We'll basically take you through the process, how many people you might need, how often we need to be there. All of that we take care of, right?
Okay.
Labor supplier in the sense of we've got the people, right?
Okay,
So we do the placing and then we always like just ensure that we cater to the needs of the customer because they're not the same, you know. So it's very important that we take the time to listen to what the customer needs and then look into our resources to make it happen. So that's what it is.
Okay.
Yes.
And the tutoring as well? I think you mentioned that as well.
100%.
Do you do the tutoring because it's something that you've done previously? So you're actually competing with the person who gave you an opportunity. You're competing with them now.
100%. I wouldn't say competing because of the fact that we actually live in a very abundant world. We live in a very abundant world. I think there's enough for everyone. That's just my belief. In terms of tutoring, yes, I still tutor myself, but not as much as I used to. I used to do it on another level. But now we have a group of, a team of tutors, and they're the ones who do the tutoring. So it's been a very interesting journey. And Leon, this is just the beginning.
Nice. Is it maths and sciences, or do you also tutor other subjects as well? Economics?
It's mainly maths and science, but we're very flexible. Like I said, project management. So come to us with a problem, we'll fix it. You know.
And the labor supply, I'm guessing you supply the labor, right? To clean offices. Does it also work for home cleaning as well?
100%. So that's under our business to consumer model. So yes, we do cater for residents and and then with the business to business, I think that's self-explanatory. Yes.
Okay, perfect. When you started, how many hours were you working? Because I'm thinking earlier on you said you used to leave work and you still had this energy, you still had stuff to do. So initially, how many hours were you working when you started? The first week, maybe?
I think if you come by our office, right, right by the door there, we've got even inside the main office, we've got signage that says "working all the time, 24/7." So that's actually due to the fact that I'm a workaholic. I really enjoy working.
Yes,
I really enjoy working. It's something that. Yeah, it makes me happy. And I think even in terms of creating employment, it makes me happy to do that. Because I know and understand what employment does to a person, right? Unemployment dehumanizes a person. Let's be real.
yes,
It strips you away of your dignity, And so having having been lucky to be introduced to the concept of employment at a young age, I understand what work can do, effective work can do for a person.
yes.
So I used to put in the work, and that was mainly because of the fact that, for the time that you don't have the skill, put in the work. Right? And it's only once you've acquired the skill that you can start not working as hard towards that thing, but also that still means that you must progress to the next level and work hard at the next thing.
Yes.
So work, I don't know, I don't have working hours.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you manage your life with that? I mean, your personal life, because as much as we work hard, I believe that, you know what, you still need to take some time off and just cool off and, you know.
And I think
I mean, you were at church today. I mean, that's one form of leisure, you know. Like, I believe people should work hard, but you should take some time off to enjoy the fruits of your work as well, and just to, you know. Yes.
Okay.
I don't even know what I asked you, but yeah.
Don't worry, I've got you, Leon.
Yes.
Work balance.
Yes.
Work-life balance is what you're asking me about,
Yes.
right? Okay. I think that it's very important to have that balance in place. I know I'm a workaholic, you know, but I've learned that it's very important to have that balance in place, because then when you do take the time to rest, you are able to reflect. And especially as someone who's positioned to be like a visionary for your business, basically. It's so important to reflect. It's so important to take the step back to see what it is that we're doing right. What are we doing right as an organization? What are we doing wrong? What can we do better? So that helps a lot in terms of, you know, balancing one. I think you're also touching on the importance of having a support system in place. That's very important for an entrepreneur. It's very, very important to have a support system, because it's tough, Leon. It's tough. You've basically just positioned yourself to be in a space where you reach your breaking point, right? You reach your breaking point and you just like fall down, and the reflection time comes now. And that happens. Then you get back again, up again. But now the thing now is that the more you keep doing it, the more you keep going back to it, your character gets developed. Your tolerance levels in terms of pain actually also increases, right? And I say that because failure is not something that is attractive, but yet failure is a prerequisite, or it's required in order for you to succeed. So failure is married to success. You can't be successful without failing, right?
Definitely.
Maybe someone might argue with me. I don't know, but
No, I totally do. I agree with you. I mean, once you fail at something, there is a lesson that's learned there as well, you know?
100%.
There is a lesson that's learned. And let's just say your failure was quite big. Let's just say this big. Next time you have a challenge and the challenge is like this small, you're like, but I've done worse. I've survived worse.
100%. And I love what you're saying, because of the fact that even the entrepreneurship journey, it's not linear, right? It's not linear. And I'm saying that because I went like 2019 to like until 2019 until 2020, 2021, I was a business owner. And I was a business owner, and somewhere, you know, my systems were not working well for me. And I found myself crashing a lot, like crashing a lot. And I think then it was so important to educate myself more, right? And wow, I'm saying this because the times when I was crashing, it was the times when the things that I had learned and the whoever I had become was not enough to elevate me to the next level. More was required.
Yes.
And so that's the power of education, right? That's the power of education, because that's how you can equip yourself to elevate to the next level, because the next level requires a different version of you.
Yes.
Right. The next level requires a different level of you. And even in terms of the business space, even your language must change. Right. Even your language must change. Yeah. as an entrepreneur, you need to be comfortable, for instance, with accounting. You don't need to be an accountant, but you need to be comfortable because now you must be talking margins.
Yes.
Now you must be, your language must change. I think, yeah. So I'm losing my train of thought. There's so much to be said. 40 minutes is not enough, but it's okay. Let's just keep going.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't even know what I wanted to ask you, but yes, you started just before COVID, just before the pandemic hit. That was November, I think. Went into lockdown level 5 about maybe 4 months after you had started. And how did that impact your business?
Okay, so 2019, that's when we started the business. Sure. November. Yes. Sure. So after leaving the mining industry, I went into farming. And I was doing farming at a small scale. And then I wanted to do it large scale. And then I realized, capital, I don't have capital. And I don't want funding. I think it's very important to discuss how, as the youth, funding is not primary. It's the knowledge.
Yes.
Right. I want to know how to do it because the funding will come and it will just flow out, Okay, so I did that. And then from there onwards, I realized, capital, I don't have capital. Survival mode. Let's go back to tutoring. Right. Safe space, I guess. So I did that. And I went back to the company I was working for. But I think the conversation I had with the owner was that December, I'm gone. Again, I didn't know where I was going. Right, I didn't know where I was going, and that's the honest truth. But I knew that needs to happen, right? So that's when I started planning around smart rebels. Okay, cool. Let's start with tutoring. I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I know the numbers. I'm comfortable with the numbers. I know how to navigate around it. Then from there onwards, 2020, when the year started, we just started, attracting customers, marketing. I mean, obviously the work needs to be put in, right? Because you're building something from ground up. Have your contracts in place, have your timesheets in place, have this and this, have your systems in place, basically. And then, it grew very well. March 2020, I got an office space and we got office furniture and all of that. March, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. On the 20th, I think.
Thank you. 20th is
21st, somewhere there.
100%. So March we move in, beginning of the month. On the 20th, but even before then, because I think the things were are starting to emerge. Lockdown.
Yes.
Right? Lockdown. And then I panicked. Okay, cool. Let's see. But I think for me, I think it's also very important to share this. My first thing to do whenever I'm in that situation is to go back to God. That's always the first thing I do. Is I went back to God. I said, "Hey, what is this? You said I'm gonna set this thing up. I'm setting it up, and then what is this? So that happened." And I think, and then I got into a fast. I was like, you know what, let me fast that one. I need to see this thing and where it's going and what it means for smart rebels. And so that happened. And during my fast, there's a customer. It was very one of the big clients, they called and said, "Confidence, we need you." So you need me? No, I need you. Okay, yes. So that happened, and then so from there onwards, we're able to still operate. Office was not running. But we were able to work around with the permits and all of that. Obviously, you need to be safe. So that happened, and then I think the restrictions were more relaxed around August. But then I'd already started my hiring process. I'd already interviewed people in March already.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So most of those things were in place. So when the government gave us a go ahead, they said, let's go. Yes. So office is open. I need someone to clean. Because, so employment was it's all of that was happening. So we got someone to clean the office and we set up and the thing is that in terms of tutoring, that's when it peaked because that's when the school system was disrupted.
Oh, yes.
So whenever there's a problem, there's actually a lot of opportunities that arise. It all depends on how you are positioned. You know, how are you? Are you positioned well? Are you positioned to win? You know,
Yes.
are you positioned to win? So it's that's what. But that's luck.
Yes.
I would say that's luck. There's also luck involved. Luck is what hard work
But
and
you need to be
preparation.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. You know, because people will just say you are lucky, but they don't know about the work you put in. You know,
100%.
because if you didn't have any preparation and it just happens, you won't be lucky because you haven't put in the work. You know.
So when opportunity meets hard work, I want to say hard work, preparation.
Yes,
100%.
perfect. What was the? I think I asked this to all the people that we interview. What was your lowest low? Like, at what moment in business did you hit your low, and what was your highest up to now? Do you have?
Okay, can I start with the highest?
Okay. No. Start with the low. And look, it doesn't have to be just business wise, but even personal development with business as well. If it did affect business as well, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be just finances. You losing a client, you know. Yes, but.
Okay, so we're starting with the low.
Let's start with the low.
Ish, it's very hard to pick one which was the lowest because there've been a lot. There've been a lot of lows. I think I've failed both publicly and privately. So there've been a lot of those. But let me just let me stick to the rules here.
Okay.
The lowest would be sure.
Do you need some tissue?
Some tissue.
Was it that bad?
No, I'm actually trying to pick, and I'll say because for me,
there
you know
were a
what,
lot.
there were a lot, Leon.
Yes.
There were
Just
a
mention
lot.
one, it's fine.
Yes, let me mention one. I think it would have been, I think last year when I was in business, but things weren't going the way, and like, you know, it was like a phase where like you can see something's wrong, but you don't know what's wrong. I think that, and it put me in a space where for the first time in my life, I couldn't wait for the year to finish.
That's how I feel every day. But
No! You know, like I couldn't wait for the year to finish because I knew and understood that, number one, I'm not aligned to God, right? There's something I'm doing wrong within that aspect of things. Number two, I knew and understood that there's a need to reconstruct my business model. For some odd reason, it's like I'd become complacent along the way. So it was all those things, like coming to the realization of all of that. It's a lot, but I think if I were to pinpoint all the lows, that would be the main one where I'm like, because Leon, no one is coming to save you, right? No one is coming to save you. And another thing is that the moment that you've been waiting for is now. This is the moment you've been waiting for, right? So to see all these things happening, and it's like, oh, but I know this is when I should be doing this, but you're not positioned well. You haven't positioned yourself well. How do you expect to win when you haven't positioned yourself well? You don't even have the tools with you, the ones that you need in order to conquer this thing. You know, there's a verse in the Bible, it's in Nehemiah, and it says these men, and there was a war taking place, and then they needed to build a wall, right? And it got to a point where they were building one hand and they had weapons on the other hand, right? They had weapons on the other hand and they were working. So it's so important to understand those fundamentals of life, right? Because that will then give you an advantage in terms of prospering in whatever thing that you're doing, whether it's a professional career, whether it's being an athlete, whether you're an artist, whether you're a business person. Then you would have then positioned yourself to win. It's so important to position yourself to win. You know, I hope
Okay. Yes. No.
Yes.
Get you. Yes.
Yes, that would be my lowest. That was my lowest because I'm losing this thing. But yeah. So it was that. And then the highest moment was 2020. 2020.
Yes, you tested negative for COVID. Yes.
2020 because sure, that's when I was stepping into this whole entrepreneurship. I was owning up to it. Like I was letting go of the doubt. I was letting go of I was closing myself up to public opinion, like 2020. I would say that's when, even with the disruption in terms of COVID and all of that, I think I got to understand how God operates. I got to understand how business operates. I got to understand that, and I also I learned that because that's the year I made the decision to move out of that space. And the reason for that was because I was now realizing that more work needed to be done. Why do I say that? I say that because once you start that business, right, it's going to grow. For as long as you keep going at it, it is going to grow. The people will come, right? Now the big question is, are you ready to take in all those people? And that speaks to the systems and you understanding what it is that you're really doing. Do you understand the functions of the business? Do you understand what a business really is? Right? And also, do you understand the fact that you can't do it with your own strength?
Yes.
So 2020 I think was
the high.
100%. And and also I think even in just becoming aware of what it might become, also just having the courage to step back again, to say, I'm actually in business.
Yes.
I'm actually in business. And sure, I need to, a lot needs to happen because this is it. The moment you've been waiting for, it's this one. Even for the entrepreneurs that are planning to start. Yes. Because this is the moment you've been waiting for. Right? There's no other moment. It's not coming.
Yes.
It hasn't passed.
The time is now.
It's now.
Yes. Wow. Just the last and final question.
Okay.
I don't even know how to put this question together, but with the high unemployment we have in the country, right? Which is it's a big problem. I think it actually affects so many other social issues as well, But if you had I don't want to say powers, but what are the things that you think can be done to actually improve the whole situation we're in? You might not be able to do it alone, but let's just say maybe you had a collective, 1,000 people are watching this episode, and what's your vision to make, to help with all these issues that we have in this country?
100%. So in terms of this question, Leon, I've actually given it a thought, and I wanted to come up with like these fancy answers and these political answers, and from an economist point of view, Leon, this is what must happen. But the thing that came to mind, and I think, let me thank God for that, is that I think people in general need to understand that we are here to serve one another, right? And people will pay for when a need of theirs is catered to, right? They will pay. And so for people that are unemployed, I would say that look for ways to refine your serve. Look for ways to serve people, right? Look for ways to serve people, because once you do that, you obviously need to put a price. But once you do that, then I think you would have positioned yourself better. I don't know if that answers your question. That's That's what I came up with, and it made so much sense to me because it speaks to whatever gift that one is given. No one is coming to save you guys, and no one is coming to save me. No one's coming to save anyone. But look inwardly. What is it that I can serve? What is it that I can give to people? What value can I create? And it starts there. And also, a lot of people tend to despise the concept of like humble beginnings, but that's where it all starts. That's where it all starts, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I would say. If I had that one day, I think it would just be the ability to give people the awareness of what it is they can serve, how they can serve using their God-given talents, because everything is inside you.
Thanks a lot, Confidence, for coming through to the episode, and it was well having you. It was nice. I've learned a lot myself. I mean, I learned a lot with each guest that we have on the show.
100%.
You should actually maybe take up motivational speaking as well.
Thank you very much, Leon, for the invitation. Thank you very much, and yeah, let's keep going, eh?
Cool. And if you've watched up to this far, please like the video and subscribe to our channel to see more videos when they come out. Thank you. Bye.